You want me to move this out of the way?
Perfect. That's good.
Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a little confusing for me, because I'm not quite sure when all these things happened, whether I was area coordinator or then later on as regional superior. I was there for 6 years, regional, from 92 to 98, I think. So anyway, as area coordinator, my office became with the name People for Peace in Africa. In Swahili, Watu wa Amani ya Afrika. So this is, I think, the first peace group I began in Africa. Is the office. I got to know Joseph Ngala, who was head of the communications office for the Kenya bishops.
Okay.
Now, he knew a number of Maryknollers. Like Father Joe Glenn was one of our old regional superiors and well known, and then Father Joe Healy, who did a lot of writing and still does, and his sister Janice McLaughlin, a Maryland sister. Both Joe Healy and Janice were into the communications, and they both did a lot of work with the East African Bishops' Conferences on training people for communications, journalism and stuff. But Joe Ngana lost his job with the bishops and wanted to work with me. Now, I was getting involved in a number of issues and needed help to understand the complexity of the Kenyan situation. So I hired him. And Joe had a lot of contacts and was wise in some ways. Over the years, he had his problems and critics, but was always faithful to me. So he was there with me right from the beginning until I left Africa, I think.
Okay.
So besides Watu wa Amani Africa, my office as coordinator, and the theological group I helped begin, I want to mention some of the other people and projects that I began out of the Office of People for Peace in Africa.
Good.
Like, I had forgotten it, but Joe Ngala reminded me that I've forgotten 8 or 10 young men to go to the Jesuit school in Mwanza, Tanzania, which is on Lake Victoria, just below Musoma, where I was for many years. The Jesuits had a school there, and one of it was on journalism. So they got a degree in journalism, and some of them still are journalists. So I can't remember how I paid for all of this. It wasn't that much, really, but since I did not ask for many funds from Maryknoll, I suppose Maryknoll would say, you asked for quite a bit, but I don't think I asked that much compared to a lot of other people. One of the first projects we helped, and Joe Ngala and myself, was a youth group who wanted to do drama. And Joseph Babu, B-A-B-U, was the leader of the group initially. I mean, I knew him and a few others from Our Lady of Visitation Parish, where I had been for some years before. Well, when I came to Kenya, I stayed in that parish. So I don't remember the details, but I think we had the group choose their own leadership. And Joe was, for some time, Joseph Babu. And then he got a scholarship to go here to the Mennonite College, what is it called?
In the Shenandoah?
EMU.
Yes, Eastern Mennonite University.
Yeah. And so then, but when he was still there, they continued after he left for some time, for some years. They wanted to dramatize issues, and like HIV/AIDS, which was a crucial topic at that time, and nobody wanted to talk about it. So we helped them with some contacts for funds. There wasn't that much funds. They wouldn't make a living on it, but just for transport, stuff like that. So they would initially meet in our office, but then we got a very small place next door to our office, which was a door from our office. So they did a lot of good work, working primarily with youth groups, as I remember. Then I'm just going to list these people. I don't know when the years was for most of them. Deborah, a beautiful young married woman from northern Kenya, came to our office asking for help to end the violence and killing in that area of northern Kenya. They were nomadic people with cattle, and there was fighting over water and grass because of a drought. So a Mennonite, I got to know him well, he and his wife Harold Miller, and his wife Annetta, Harold was into justice and peace work too, but at a bigger level than mine. He liked to work with big people, but he helped us, and he was good to me because he told me much later, and I've forgotten, that I had found funds to help him begin his justice and peace office. I don't know where I got those funds. I forgot completely. So I went to him and asked if he could help to bring some of the elders that were fighting down.
Yeah.
You know. And of course, Deborah would have known who was the important people to bring down. She was very, very wise and beautiful and charming. And so we brought people down from the northern Kenya, flew them down. And after a week or so, I forgot, maybe 2 weeks of discussions and negotiations, and then peace was made between the warring parties. And we got Catholic Relief Services and other groups to ship up food for the people up there. They really were desperate. So Deborah wanted to open a justice and peace office in northern Kenya. So we had her come to our office for some days and work out her project. We got a third desk. Joe had a desk, I had a desk, and we got a third desk for these people who came in and wanted to. So we helped her write up her project and find sources to fund her project. And she did magnificently until she was killed in a car accident in western Kenya some years ago.
Oh.
I presume, I haven't found out if her work continues up there. I was these are all kind of small projects I'll list a whole bunch of them. I was on the board of Charles Lwanga Brothers. Now Charles Lwanga is a Uganda saint. A number of young men were killed by real bad tabaka. The tabaka is like the king with the Baganda. And so the Charles Lwanga brothers called me one day to pick up. I had been on their board and struggling with because they didn't want to separate the two pots of money for the project for their street kids. They had a little street kids project going,
Okay.
and even in a high school they had in Western Kenya, and then their own community thing. And I said, you're expanding, and you got to separate the two. You just can't put it in one pot there.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't want to do it, so I walked out. But then they called me back because they realized it. They called me one day to pick up this young fellow named Pius. He was a street kid in Kenyatta Hospital. And I got there. I was curious to know why they called me. So I got there, and the nurse, when she heard us coming there to pick him up, she got me up into an office. And this is now a huge, massive hospital, very low funded. They had so many people, they had to put like 2 people in a bed, you know, the head here and the head here, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was really bad.
Okay.
So she said that the man that was in the same bed with him, with Pius, had died that night. And in the morning, when he woke up, he found a dead body next to him. So she said, you got to be good to him. So, I brought him home and go back to the compound for the Charles Lwanga brothers. They had a place there. So I continue now to help many of these kids from that Charles Lwanga, besides the group that I helped start, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we got a picture someplace of Mary Muthoni, Paul Kamau. This is a different person. I'm sure in that picture you will
Right.
find that.
We'll find it.
His mother is, not his mother, I mean the one that I really kind of fell in love with of all the street kids. Well, not so much the street kid, it was the woman he married. Married, not Pius, another guy. Paul, his name is, a nice guy, but a real struggling with drinking yet. You know, a lot of these kids were on drink or drugs or something, and he's still struggling. A gentle guy, but his wife Mary is fabulous. And of course, this is the one where the oldest boy is named Kamau, and the second one is, the little girl is Anna, and now the third one, I think I told you about Mary. I had somebody send me an email to please get her out of the hospital. She had given birth to a baby, and they won't let you go from the hospital until you pay the bill. because they'd never find you in this vast slum area. So when I was really kind of annoyed with her for getting pregnant again because Paul was, was struggling.
Yeah.
And then I was going to write her kind of a strong letter saying, use some common sense. And then she emails me first and says, thanks me for getting her out of the hospital. And then he said, the child is a boy and his name is Carol. So what could I do?
Yeah.
But anyway, and there's a woman, I think maybe you should give me that packet of stuff over there. I might have,
1 second.
I just want to show a couple of pictures. I don't know, or you could show them yourself another time. Not Julie's stuff, though, yeah. I don't know where it is. But, yeah, this one I want to show. I'm sure. Well, this is a picture of this is the earlier picture of
there. Good.
this is a picture of Mary, the mother, and Paul, the father, and then the boy was quite young then. The oldest one, Kamau, and then Anna,
Okay.
and then later on I'll show you a picture of Carol.
It's a handsome family.
They are good kids. And I just got this on the East. It should be an email for this one. And they must have gone to photographer's place. These are the three kids. So on the, let's see, the tallest, are we okay?
Hold it up.
Oh.
Okay, good.
Okay, the tallest one, of course, is Kamau. And then the girl is on the other side. And then the little boy, Carol. Yes. Now both Kamau and the girl Anna are like number 1 or 2 in their class in grade school. They're both very, very bright, I guess. So I hope Carol has the same genes.
With that name, he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders. He's got a lot to live up to there.
I'm not sure. It might be a burden. But this other one, there was a woman shot and killed by police in Nairobi, on the edges of Nairobi, for resisting the police from taking her land in Nairobi. And this woman, I forgot her name now, but they contacted me, and they wanted to have like a big, like a funeral service in this huge big park in Nairobi, which is right on the main road going through Nairobi. Uhuru. Uhuru means freedom. There's Uhuru Park. So we did, and this is 2 pictures of this where I was doing it with a Protestant minister. Unfortunately, she was Catholic, but I don't know why. But the parish she was from, the priest wouldn't come for this the funeral right in the park, So I did. So I'm not always quiet and shy. But
okay, hold on. Okay, good.
And then this is the same picture, but from the papers.
Okay.
And so, and then there's a lay woman in. Let's see, what is this woman killed?
Why did the police want to take her land?
We'll go into that later on. That's one of the biggest issues in Kenya was when I was there, and continues to be, unfortunately, the whole land issue.
Okay.
Land is big money. Big money.
Sure.
So we'll go into that in a big way. And there was a lay woman, Catholic woman, in Western Kenya who wanted to start a justice and peace office there. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention that, but the one from Northern Kenya, she wasn't. She was Muslim. They're almost all Muslims up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one from Western Kenya, I forgot her name, and I should know it. There was a lot of unrest for a number of reasons. One, again, was over land. Besides being difficult to get a government certificate for their land, they didn't want it so they could grab it, because they would say, well, you don't have a certificate, so the government could grab it. Many people were forced to sell the small plots they had for medical costs, for school fees, funerals, and so on. Funerals are very expensive there, stupidly. There was also a lot of land grabbing by government officials and wealthy individuals. And many of the poor ended up without land, unable to even feed their children and their families properly. So she came to our office, did her homework at the 3rd desk, and still continues to do justice and peace work in Western Kenya.
Okay.
Works, I think, both with the churches, Catholic and Protestant, and other groups. She also did a huge sensitive